Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Composer and pianist Neil Berg is today's guest. Neil will talk about his career in music and his new show, The 12. Neil will be joined by his wife, the tremendously talented singer and actress, Rita Harvey.
Composer Neil Berg and singer, actress Rita Harvey. Welcome to Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.
Great to be here, Mark.
So good to have you. This is about my 111th interview between my two shows, Lighting the Educational Flame, and this one, Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. But fair warning to the viewers, I usually don't really know the people I interview, but I am a longtime Neil Berg and Rita Harvey fan. Fan is close to stalker, but a huge fan. I'm not just saying that because I was the first person ever to sing Twilight from the show Prince and the Pauper. So I'm not name dropping, but you know how it is. So Neil, we're going to start with you first. You played competitive baseball. I mean, your company is Left Field Productions. Now it seems that your son Lucas is carrying on that athletic tradition, but how can we connect the dots for people who don't know you, from college athlete to master composer? Doesn't really go together normally.
You know, I heard that early in my career, but I must tell you that I just always had the two passions. I really did. They were simultaneous. And when I was in middle school, I started playing in bands, and I was always playing baseball. But when I went to college, when I went to high school, I wasn't able to do the musicals because both the spring musical and baseball were both spring activities, and they wouldn't let you do both. So I ended up playing baseball, went to college to play baseball. Also, in my family, making a life in music just was unheard of. So I didn't think it was a reality. So, but the truth is it was always my passion. And when I went to college, I did it probably as much as anything. I played in all the talent shows. I got asked to write my first musical in college. And that's when I realized that I needed to do this for my life. Goodbye law school, goodbye anything else. And, at that time, it turned out that I knew my baseball career was not going to, I was not going to be a Major League Baseball player. I was a very good college player. But, so I put all of that emphasis, all that teamwork, all that discipline, everything you put into being a great baseball player. That kind of mindset helped me a lot, because then I just wanted to be the best composer possible, which meant studying, doing all the discipline work, and just never being outworked. That's how I was an athlete. That's what I taught my son. And that's all you can do is control yourself. There's going to be one Gershwin. There's one Sondheim, but I always knew I didn't need to be them. I just needed to be the best Neil Berg and tell my story and be who I could be and contribute that way. And it's worked out very well for me, thankfully.
Well, you talk about family, the musical family. So we have to ask, when did you first meet my other hero, Rita Harvey?
So there's the combination of athletics and music and Broadway. I was playing on the Phantom of the Opera softball team at Central Park in the Broadway show league. My best friend at the time was playing Raoul and becoming the Phantom, Brad Little. And he got me onto the team as a kind of a ringer, but also I was in the business. And the next year he went off to tour as the Phantom. I was on the team my second year, and all of a sudden this beautiful actress came in from the road to take over Christine on Broadway. And that was Rita Harvey. So we met on the ball field in Central Park. I don't know if you want to go from there.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I was playing, what was it? I was playing catcher and second base. It's where they would put us. And I remember this guy who hit a home run every single time he got up and was extremely fast around the bases. And, everybody said his nickname's Woody. So everyone was saying, oh, the guy Woody. And I thought he was on the crew because I knew he wasn't cast. I knew everyone on the cast. So I just assumed he was an electrician or a carpenter, in the crew. And, but then we started hanging out. We got to know each other. We, had a lot of friends in common. And
I asked Rita to sing a song of mine on a demo which was my way in.
He asked me to sing "Lonely" from Prince and the Pauper.
I was writing Prince and the Pauper at the time.
And
I have the soundtrack.
Yeah, recorded the demo, and years later, we, when it actually happened on Broadway or on off Broadway, The Prince and the Pauper, and we got married, we used that song "Twilight" that you said you sang on our wedding invitation. Like the backdrop of it was Twilight, and then there was kind of the vellum, and then the details on the front. But that song "Twilight" was part of our wedding invitation because it kind of was what brought us together, really.
True.
So
yeah,
absolutely.
26 years ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that. I was walking down the hill at Deer Mountain Day Camp, and you said, "Mark, hey, come sing this song." And who knew where it would take you? And I don't know. And it's funny you say that Neil's nickname is Woody. I only knew Neil as Woody. He's a legend in the camp business, even before being a legend in the music business. And I only know him as Woody. But I'm keeping it way professional here, and I will address you as Neil during this interview. But it's so funny. I don't know if Neil remembers that my grandfather wrote the music I told you to One Step Beyond, the Loretta Young show from years ago. So I know from composers, although I only met him twice, but you mentioned a name so interesting that is in my questioning today because, Rita, I just saw a tribute show, two brothers called the Anderson Brothers, young guys, clarinets, saxophonists, do a tribute to Gershwin. I know your friend Carter, I think it's pronounced Carter Calvert, of course, is married to Roger Cohen, who is my son's drum teacher, goes full circle. She performs a Patsy Cline tribute. So I always wonder what makes people pick this person versus that person. So what made you choose to honor Linda Ronstadt in your tribute show?
That's a really great question. I was looking to do a tribute sort of show, in between other shows that I was doing and while I was home a lot with Lucas, with our son. And I started thinking, because I majored in opera, so I sing legit, but I also, have sung quite a bit of Broadway. And since meeting this guy, I've done a lot of pop songs and rock songs with him. So I sort of, taught myself and taken a lot of lessons about how to learn to sing different styles. And so I started thinking, oh my gosh, do I tribute someone who's a classical singer? Do I tribute someone and I have so many that are my heroes that it was hard to choose. And all of a sudden it hit me, oh my gosh, Linda Ronstadt does it all. I mean, she's done every style you can think of. And she's done opera as well as Broadway. She did Pirates of Penzance. She's done, folk, rock, country,
American
pop,
Songbook.
American Songbook, which I absolutely love, jazz standards. And then she also did the Mexican songs, which I've sung a lot in other languages too. So it just seemed to fit that I could showcase all my different styles of singing that I love to do and showcase someone who is phenomenal and who's didn't ever want to be pigeonholed, because I never wanted to be pigeonholed either. So the more I researched her, the more I said, oh my gosh, I love her. So that's kind of why.
What I love about her Linda Ronstadt show is, she sort of does it chronologically. So she starts with all the pop music and rock music that made Linda Ronstadt famous in the first place, the country rock and all of that. And there are other Linda Ronstadt tributes out there, but I can't wait because Rita does all of the big hits. And then all of a sudden, I don't think the audience is expecting what's coming next because she could rock out with the best of them. But her wheelhouse originally is all the classical. And all of a sudden she launches into Linda's second and third and fourth career, and the audience is blown away. They don't know what hit them. They don't know, that Rita was also the star of Phantom of the Opera on Broadway and can sing legit with the best of them in the world. So that's always exciting for me whenever I go see her show to see the audience reaction halfway through.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, as a fan / stalker, of course, I saw the Linda Ronstadt show that she did. But I have to tell you, when I see both of your shows, and I expect it, and I'm used to it because I've been to so many of Neil's shows, and Rita's in most of them. But I love the fact, as an educator, former educator, that Rita mentions when I did the research, because what I love, I can't speak for the rest of the audience. I know they always love the shows, but I really love the storytelling. And you're right, when Rita just doesn't sing the songs of Linda Ronstadt that some people might always know, but she goes into the storytelling. So that's something that I've always grown to love and expect from Neil, but I was not expecting that at the Linda Ronstadt show. So how do you guys not only do the research, but then order it? Like Neil, you spoke about you loving that it's chronological. I love that too. I'm kind of like, think of myself as a common sense guy, but who writes, is that, would I call that part of the production of the show? Because to me, it's absolutely not just about the songs and how well they're performed. It's about the storytelling. So we kind of live the life of the person. Who writes that? And what's the real goal there?
Right. So when I started out originally doing this and doing the 100 Years of Broadway, my show, which tells the history of Broadway, it was important to me. I'm a storyteller. That's what musical theater is. More important than the music is the story it's telling. It's just it helps tell a story. So for me, it was really just as simple as, if I was in the audience, if my mother was in the audience, what would I want to hear that would make it special? You can go to a concert and hear the song sung beautifully, which we could do, but I call it the extra sauce, which has now become even more than the extra sauce. It's the foundation of what we do. I always want to go in and tell the anecdotes, the stories, to make it special for the audience, something they might not know. And that was very important to me. And it became early on when I started doing 100 Years of Broadway, it became obvious I was going to be switching out performers because I was using the best performers. They were always going in and out of musicals, Broadway musicals. So I ended up being the one disseminating the information. So I became the unexpected star of the show because I just was so passionate as a historian, Broadway historian, about telling the stories. So that was something that I knew from day one was going to be the most important part and separate it from everything else. And then I started 100 Years of Broadway chronologically. For that particular show, it didn't work for me. I didn't want the audience being ahead of me. I wanted to go all over the place and have them guessing. And I like that. I like it. So it's kind of feeding the audience information, and it's almost a guessing game of what song am I talking about. And it's part of the back and forth I have with the audience. When I started doing the 50 Years of Rock and Roll show, which I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years on a national tour, then I decided to go back to do it chronologically because I thought that was I just thought that was a better way of telling the story of rock and roll chronologically, because people then were building up expectations of where I was going, and it was a different type of storytelling. So that's what I did, Rita. And yes, I did all the research. I loved it. I love researching. It's my favorite part. It's about just finding out all the juicy facts. And I've been fortunate because the Broadway world, I know personally most of the famous composers. They're colleagues of mine. So that's kind of easy for me to know.
I mean, anytime you're doing a concert or cabaret or any kind of thing like that, I mean, we're actors, artists, whether you're an actor or you're someone who sings and doesn't really, you're always acting. You're always telling the story. I mean, I teach a lot of voice lessons, and there's always a character. There's always a story, even if it's just a pop song on the radio. Any pop star will tell you they're telling a story, a point of view from a character. Otherwise it's just notes. There's always got to be a story behind it. So not only is it the story of the characters, the story of those songs from the shows that we're doing, but like Linda Ron says, it's the character within each song too that you're telling, and each song is its own story, and you make your own decisions and choices within that. But it just makes a much more exciting show for the audience, and it makes it more relatable to the audience. They can say, oh, that's really pretty, or that's kind of got a great groove, but when they understand there's a story behind it, it's that much more, you have much more of a connection to it, personal connection, and it's that much more intriguing and engaging, and exciting for the performer too to do. So it's always number one, is to have that background behind it. And yeah, the research is fascinating to do. There's so many books out there about all this music, and now with the internet, you can find all kinds of interesting facts, and yeah, it just adds so much to the evening, to the show itself.
But you guys do so many fundraiser concerts and so many freebies and so many nonprofit things. So when people were in a huge funk during COVID, the two of you performed a free online concert. So I have to ask in closing, how did two people who thrive on live performances get through the pandemic?
Oh, that was a good question. It was rough there for a while, really rough. I mean, when there's nothing live going on, and it's not the same on, in a video situation. It's just not.
It's the worst.
It's
actually
awful. It's very hard because we're used to such big, big stages. It was hard to perform for a small little camera. It's just not the same. It was rough.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. What makes theater different than every other form is it's live. So to put theater on video is the worst. It's not supposed to be seen on video. It's supposed to be seen live. Sometimes you can get away with it, but it's just not meant to be. So you have to really just say the heck with that. We're not even going to think about that. This is about something totally different. This is about, people are in a funk, and we're in a funk, and we're people too. And so this is what we love to do. And maybe we can also do it in a way that's going to cheer some people up. And it helps other people who are needing something to do during COVID. They're sitting there and they get a chance to see, we've cultivated a big following over the years. Very thankful for that. But we need this too. Let's say, it's symbiotic. It really is. We need the audience as much as they need us. And so that's what makes it fantastic.
It did cause some creative things, though. Neil actually wrote quite a few shows during the pandemic. He had a lot of time, and he ended up collaborating with several other people and writing several new shows during the pandemic. He wrote one called Charlie Hustle, and he wrote a show called Sabbath Girl that's getting produced soon. So a lot of creative, and he also wrote, I'm going to brag, then I'll talk about what I did, but he wrote a song called I Choose the Light that was hopefully something uplifting that people can download, and it's about what was going on during that time, but that, choose the positive side, choose the light, try to live in joy and light. And I, during the pandemic, had another friend, he and I recorded a couple of albums called Simple Prayers, with the thought of doing not just religious prayers, but anything that was inspirational, something that people could meditate to and something that could uplift people. It's just, once again, a COVID project, and ended up getting a couple of those, 2 albums, Simple Prayers 1, Simple Prayers 2. Because, when you're not doing what you want to do, you got to find ways to do it, Right. And so it ended up just going into a studio with him and with my friend Peter Danish, and just, knocking out some recordings there. So all these things are on our websites. It came up with some more creative outlets during that time because we needed to get it out there.
Well, it's a mindset, because other people are in a COVID slump, and you just use the term, nobody talks about that. You said a COVID project.
Yeah.
So when the going gets tough, the tough get going. But
needed a project. I got to tell you that for a couple of months, it was just a funk. I know a lot of friends who you'd go to sing and you just cry because you were so upset and depressed and there was nothing going on. And but then that gives way to, okay, I got to do something. I got to, either find a way to help what's going on or get some creative juices flowing. And so, yeah, everyone have their COVID projects that we ended up.
Well, so true. And thank you for those, that was definitely an uplifting concert. I'll call it a concert. For me and my wife and some friends of ours who, of course, we gave the link to. But before we sign off, give me all the websites, give me all the information, give us everything we need to know, because people are going to want to know so much more about what you both are doing.
Okay. Well, I mean, you just go to ritaharvey.com or neilberg.com, and they cross-reference each other. Mostly neilberg.com. It has all his shows and a whole schedule of performances of all our various concerts, 100 Years of Broadway, his 50 Years of Rock and Roll. He also has Piano Men, the songs of Billy Joel, Elton John, my Linda Ronstadt one. I think I am doing another one in December 17th at the Turning Point, Linda Ronstadt, called Heart Like a Whale, the songs of Linda Ronstadt. So neilberg.com, ritaharvey.com. If you want to see the 12, you've got one more week, and that is at the Goodspeed Opera House. Very, very exciting.
in East Haddam, Connecticut, about 2 hours outside of New York City.
Beautiful, beautiful theater, beautiful show.
And exactly, I'm very fortunate. I have 2 new musicals that are commissioned. They're going to be produced. One at the Penguin Repertory Theater next in 2024, called The Sabbath Girl, that I wrote with Carrie Gitter, that Joe Brancato's directing. And then I have another musical called How I Met My Grandparents. That's going to be at the New Jersey Repertory Theater in opening in December of 2024. And of course, the 12 is running right now, and hopefully it's going to be going someplace that you can see it again soon. But we can't make that announcement yet. And most exciting is I'm also composing the new Broadway musical of a very famous movie, my favorite comedy, a contemporary. So I'm the composer of My Cousin Vinny, the musical. So I'm working with Dale Launer, the original screenwriter, and we've just finished the first draft of that. And all of it will be on neilberg.com. And plus, we have about 80 to 100 concerts, as was just mentioned, for the 100 years of Broadway and everything else.
You know you're doing something right when the last of the 10 things you mentioned is, and we also do 80 to 100 concerts. So usually that's the opening and the closing.
Yeah.
I've been, Mark, you were there at the beginning, and I was a young Pisha, and I was just, just trying to do everything I could to just enjoy my life and create art and be in the artistic community. And I'm just one very grateful, fortunate person that it goes back to baseball.
Yeah.
Just drive and just keep at it, persistence, hard work, never be outworked. That's and
talent.
Well, and be kind to each other. It's funny. I was thinking about this. I'm going to say this one phrase. It's funny, and talent is overrated. It really is. I certainly am, as talented, if not more talented, than some people who've made it very, very big. But trust me, I am less talented than a lot of people who never made it big. Think about that. Because, there's some incredibly talented people who never got the chance, who made different life decisions for whatever reason. And so it goes back to the beginning of what I was talking about. I just tried this. I could just be me, one Neil Berg, one Rita Harvey, be yourself. And if you have an important story to tell and you have a vision and just a drive to make it happen, and you're not going to be denied, that's kind of what happened. So we're just very grateful. That's the truth.
Yeah. And congratulations for everything you've done. And believe me, I don't invest in stocks, but these people are just getting started. That's the frightening thing, to be honest with you. So, because I know that there's always great things down the road. Let me just say quickly to the viewers, don't forget to watch us on E360 TV, available on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. EST on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. Remember to follow us on social media. Life Stories with Marc Hoberman is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course our YouTube channel, so subscribe. Neil Berg and Rita Harvey, thank you so much for being here today. It was great.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.